Om Sri Sai Ram. Dearest Bhagwan, Sai Ram to all the devotees who have assembled here. I would like to express on behalf of all of us our gratitude to Bhagwan for being with him during his time on this earth. This is such a unique opportunity that maybe in a millennium only few people get this opportunity too, and that too with awareness that the person with whom we are interacting or seeing or moving around is none other than the Almighty Himself. Coming to the deliberations of this particular retreat, I know today is the last day, also almost like a valedictory. I would like to just mention few aspects which I observed in my stay here for the last 30 years. I have seen very meticulously observed the interactions Swami used to have with students, teachers, other VIPs and other members of the Sai fraternity who used to be coming to Mandir for darshan, possibly interaction and also sparshan. Though many times we find that Swami was casually talking, what apparently looks like very casual talk, mundane type, where did you come from, what did you have for breakfast and so on and so forth. I always felt that no, God who has come down here is not for time pass. It's only meant for our upliftment. He is interacting with us. Possibly in a way we can really understand, but we have to understand, analyze it, and internalize what the message Swami is trying to communicate to us. And that, if you are able to capture, and then practice it in our own life, I think that's the path for our salvation. Though in the previous avatars, many things have been mentioned as the path to now with the bhakti and so on and so forth. But in this Kali Yuga, when Swami mentioned that no, he has made everything so very simple, and if you are able to follow any one of them properly, fully, with the awareness, the way it ought to be followed or adopted in our own lives, that takes us to the end of the road on the journey, so that as purpose of a human existence is not to come back again on this earth. I was very particular because I said, I don't know whether I have come the previous time when Swami was on this earth or whether I'm going to come next time. Can I get all that particular inputs which Swami wants to give us, that pearls of what you can call knowledge or wisdom, capture them, understand them, internalize it and practice it. For that, I always used to take this opportunity to be present, sit down that particular place where Swami used to come and interact with us, especially with the students. What I'm going to narrate in the few minutes we have with today is two things which either I was present or I was part of an incident which happened. I'll tell you what the actual incidences are and also what Swami was communicating to us, and then go further how I could think of internalizing, which maybe all of us could think of internalizing so that our salvation is ensured. It happened way back in 1995, the first incident. I was doing duty with Swami those days. And as usual, Monday to Saturday morning times, none of the hospital doctors or teachers would come for darshan. Only in the afternoon or evening they used to come. But sometimes somebody would come because he has to have an interaction with Swami which is on something very important with the official work. And we normally used to allow them to sit in the front of the veranda so that it's easy for Swami to interact with the person. It so happened on a Monday. one of the doctors, a surgeon, just mentioned that, no, I would like to just talk to Swami, and came and sat down in his place. I knew the doctor much before also, and I knew that no, he would not come unless there's something which is very, very important. Possibly because an operation which is going to do some complication or some direction or some guidance he wanted from Swami. I thought so. So I allowed him to sit on. Then Swami came. After finishing the ladies' side, gents' side darshan, he just came onto the veranda. And as he was coming on to the veranda, he just, through a sign language, like with the eyebrows, he just raised and said, hey, what is it you want? By then, the doctor got up on his knees with folded hands, and as Swami came nearby, he said, Swami, thank you very much for saving me. And he was about to continue some more. Then Swami interrupted him and said, in Telugu, I'll tell you first and then I'll give you English translation. Swami said, Seva chese vallani, save chese poochi nadi. Meaning, those who do seva, it is my duty to save them. One of the beauty with Swami is that he plays with the letters of words and changes the way the meaning can be communicated very easily for all of us. Save. Seva is S-E-V-A and save is S-A-V-E. Just that E and A just interchanges. This is what happened. And then he took namaskar and then went off for his work. This I heard very clearly. So I was wondering, what is that Swami was mentioning about the seva and what is that he has saved? Because he also said that, Swami, thank you for saving my life. So next day or that day evening, when I got an opportunity to interact with the surgeon, I asked him what happened. He said on the previous Friday, he had taken Swami's permission to go to Bangalore for some personal work. So Saturday, Sunday he was there. And Sunday night he wanted to travel back early itself because it's about 4. Those days the roads were not very good. So he wanted to start early and come, but he couldn't because the work got held up. Because he got held up because of the work there. And then finally around 10 o'clock or 10:30 he started. So it was coming very fast so that he can come off at some time. And those days there was some little difficulty in certain parts of the road where people could stop and then create nuisance. So in that context, he was driving very fast. Somewhere before, just after Chikballapur, he met with a massive accident. And he was explaining the accident was so massive, there was nothing what was left of what is called a car. But what happened was, both he and his missus, his wife who were traveling together, not a scratch was on their body. Not a scratch. So those who saw the vehicle would say that, no, look, possibly you'll have only pieces of the people available. Then they got out of the wreckage, walked a little distance, got to a village and called up their friend in Bangalore who brought a car. With that car, they came back to Puttaparthi. And Monday morning, this particular incident happened. So he was saying that, no, he has done so, saved my life. That's why I wanted to come and place my gratitude at his lotus feet. Then I also know, because many times Swami was telling, the amount of he was a civil surgeon, a very prominent person in government services in Andhra Pradesh, in Hyderabad. He held all the important positions in that particular profession. And he has done a lot of service to poor patients, irrespective of whether they can pay or not, and did service to them in such a way that they are all back to normal. He's a plastic surgeon. Especially for children with a cleft lip and all that, he was able to transform their life in such a way that they can come back to the normal situation. That is the type of service. This is one incident. Another incident which is similar to that, but the two messages which Swami was communicating. So the first one message was, the people who serve are also saved, and that is the duty of Swami to take care of them that way. Second incident was 1991, late October. I had joined few years before. And one of the unwritten understandings we had at that time was that if any of us, faculty members, any other important functionary of the ashram were to go out of Puttaparthi, they'll take Swami's permission, physical permission. That means go and tell Swami or mention to Swami, Swami, I want to go for this particular purpose. No, even if it is official work for which they have to go, they used to mention to Swami, take his blessings and then go. It was around 11 o'clock, 10:30 or 11. 10:30, I just completed my class. I was teaching MBA students in the college because I was faculty member there. Colonel Jogarao, who was one of the trustees and very important functionary of the organization, he came to the college and was waiting for me. After I came down from a classroom, he said, Sridhar Bhaskar, get into the car. I knew Colonel Jogarao for quite some time before I joined the university also. Because of familiarity, he said, come, get into the car. I said, where are you taking me? He said, no, we have to go to Anantapur. I said, how can I come with you to Anantapur? I have not taken Swami's permission to come. He said, don't worry about all those things. I will take care of it. You just come. It's very important work. We have to complete it and come back by today evening. I said, I thought possibly he has taken Swami's permission, telling that he's going to take me also in the car. I thought so. I didn't want to cross check because he's such an elderly gentleman and an officially. You can't, just ask such questions to him. So I got in the car. There were 4 of us, including the driver. And we went to Anantapur, had a lunch somewhere on the way, and finished off the work. What was the work? The work was that he wanted to personally invite the collector, DIG, SP and all the other government officials of the particular district to come for inauguration of the super specialty hospital, which was taking place on 22nd November 1991. That was the occasion for which he wanted to. And the reason why he took me was that there are certain information which he could not get. He said that, Sridhar Bhaskar, if you talk to them, you will be able to collect those information, which will be very useful for the protocols to be followed when all these dignitaries come for the inauguration of the super specialty hospital, because in the government officials, you have got to follow a particular protocol. So he wanted me to get all the protocols from all these organization members or the unit members. So that was my role. So if we finished all the work, we thought by about 4:30 we'll be able to complete it, or 5. And then we'll be able to take about 1.5 hours or 2 hours. So by 7:15 we'll be back, because we knew that Swami will retire at 7:30. So in time, he wanted to come back and report to Swami what all things he has done. But somehow we got delayed. We could start from there only at 6:30. Still, he thought that maybe we'll make it. Swami may possibly wait for him, because Swami knew that the purpose for which he had gone to Anantapur. He told the driver to drive fast. And just as we got into the car, it started drizzling. And as we left Anantapur town, it became to heavy rain. As we came closer to Dharmavaram, it was torrential. To such an extent, visibility was almost only 2-3 meters. But unmindful, he said, nothing doing, come on, drive, fast. But as we came towards our Satsai Taluk, there is a weir, the road has a dip, and which allows the storm water to cross over. And there was a lot of water flowing like a flood. Approximately, we could see from the marking which is there, it's more than 2 feet of water was there. And we were driving in a car which has got a low chassis. And we knew that water will definitely enter the engine. And you know what happens if water enters the engine of a car. He said, nothing doing, go, let's go, cross. So when Colonel Jogarao said it, the driver could not say no. He just tried as much as possible with high speed to cross, thinking that in one go he'll be able to go. It's almost about 80 feet or 180 meters was the width of the flow. We came to half the stream. The engine stalled. It stopped. And by then we could see the buoyancy of water was such, our car got lifted and it started moving away from the road along the flow of the stream. And we could see there was a huge, huge ditch on the left. We said, okay, I personally felt maybe this is the mistake I made, that I did not personally take Swami's permission to come. And what is going to happen, it could possibly be because of my mistake. I was praying. Everybody in the car were praying in our own way. But suddenly, we found the car, instead of going to the left, the car was going forward straight. It's again the principles of flow. And it looked like as if somebody is pushing the vehicle from behind. I just casually turned, and at the same time, Colonel Jawahar, who was seated by my side in the back seat, both of us turned and we could find on the screen, the windshield behind, 2 palms. And those 2 palms were actually pushing the car. And we could see, because by then he had already put the inside light to know what was actually happening, the driver, I could also see some part of the sleeve of the person who was pushing the car. No points for guessing. And the color of the sleeve was orange. Both of us were so thrilled. We told the driver and the other person who was seated in the front, look, Swami is pushing from behind. And after about 5-7 minutes, we were able to come onto the road. And then as the wheels touched the road, the driver switched on and the car started immediately. And it moved forward. Sudhir Bhaskar, out of ignorance, after knowing all these things, out of ignorance, I told the driver, hey, driver, stop. We'll see if Swami wants to come with us in the car. Just got down and turned, went back to the car, saw there was nobody. You may draw your own conclusions from this. By the time we reached, it was 8:15 or 8:20. Colonel Jawahar went straight to Mandir and got the news that Swami had already retired. He was waiting for a long time and little bit concerned, but he told the person who was there in the Mandir, ask the Colonel Jawahar to meet me tomorrow. So next day morning, Colonel Jawahar went to Mandir. I don't know what happened. After a few minutes, he came out and then just looked at me and said, "Dabane undi. Everything is all right." Because we were worried that what will Swami say. Then I said, okay. Only later he told me, I asked him more detail. He said, Colonel, why do you ask the driver to drive so fast? Also knowing that there's so much of water, why did you ask him to go through the water? What would have happened if the car had fallen into the ditch? This is what Swami has said. And Colonel said, Swami, you are there to take care of us. And he didn't tell me what Swami told after that. Possibly Swami must have made some remark which he didn't tell me. That evening, I was seated in my regular place. Swami came towards that area and then moving around. He just casually was mentioning, though not directly looking at me, but no, definitely meant for me at least. And maybe to all others also is. Swami said, if you do my work perfectly, it is my responsibility to take care of the welfare of you. If you do my work perfectly, it is my responsibility to take care of your welfare. This is Swami's statement. Now, the previous statement which Swami made in 1995, which I indicated, and this one which happened in 1991, if you put them together, it means the same, with a little variation. The first one which I mentioned is Seva, it's mentioned. Now Swami is talking about work. And that is Swami's work. So if you look at the term called Seva, what would we know is, when we go to a temple, we do a lot of Sevas. There's even Arjita Seva, Tomala Seva. That means Seva there indicates it's a worship. So you're undertaking certain activities, a sort of a worship to the deity where you go. So Seva, according to Swami, is if you undertake that particular set of activities which is necessary, it becomes worship. That's why Swami said, work is worship. And here Swami was talking actually the work of Swami. And Swami said it should be done perfect. He qualified it. If you look at this particular one, what is the perfection which you are talking about? The perfection is if the work has to be intended to be done in a particular way to a particular reason for a particular purpose. If that fulfillment is to be attained, then that work becomes perfect. And for these two, if you look at, work is worship. Our work can be transformed into worship provided the work is done perfect. That's why in church also, if you see, they will say service, next service is at such a time. That means it's a prayer service. So the term service actually means it is a worship to the Lord. Though we also look at many other things, we do what they call Narayan Seva, we do medical camp Seva, we do. If you look at that service which you do, is also in the same connotation if you do it like a worship. That's why Swami has said, work should be transformed into worship. This is the crux of the whole thing. That means in this particular yuga, Swami has made our simplification of the particular activities in such a way, for our sadhana in such a way that it becomes very easy for us to reach that particular point, where from we don't have to come back again. Now, if you look at for us, when I say us, I'm talking about every person, be it a student, a children, or adults, gents or ladies, or senior citizens. Anybody if you look at, each one of us are doing certain activities. As a student, one of our most important activities is to study. For a lady of the house is to take care of the family. A professor is supposed to teach. An officer, a manager in a factory should take care of the welfare of the both men, material and machines. So if you look at that particular one, these activities which are there, or what you call the work, if those work can be done to its perfection, that means students should be able to study to its perfection. A lady of the house should be able to take care of the family to its perfection. A manager should be able to take care of his activity to its perfection. That means as is required for the particular job. If you keep that in mind, that becomes worship. Because for Swami, every work is this, isn't it? Every work which is being undertaken, any action which is being undertaken in the entire universe is his. So in that context, if you look at, it is very essential that whatever work has been assigned to us, if we are able to do that perfectly, then he discharges his responsibility to take care of our welfare. One more thing I would like to mention here. We all want joy. J-O-Y. One Swami was saying, what is the J-O-Y? Swami said, J-O-Y is nothing but Jesus first, J, O, others next, Y, yourself last. Again, whenever we are doing any work, if we keep the first two letters primary importance in the way we do the work, the purpose for which we are doing the work, if we keep that in mind, then automatically what comes out of the work is joy. So joy means not only is joy for us, it is joy for all the stakeholders who are coming in contact with us. A student, if he writes his paper very nicely with beautiful handwriting, just look at the way the teacher is going to be feeling when he looks at the paper, the answer script. What about others who look at the answer script? So that's what I call doing it to perfection, keeping Jesus first, others next, yourself last. Many times we keep ourselves first, and that's where we get into all the problems. Because after Y, J, O, you put what is the meaning, what does it translate itself into? So this is the basic thing which we should keep in mind. So every one of us, it's possible that we can be on the path of salvation with whatever work we are doing. Yeah, sadhana, yes. Service activities of such an organization is yes. That's just one of the components of your 24 hours, isn't it? So it is necessary that we be able to transform all the things. So continuously we are in tune with the requirement of joy. So Swami also will shower as much as is needed for us for the joy and also look after welfare. This is an assurance which he has given us. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters of Sai family, it is very essential for us, very simple. It's a very simple thing to adhere to and discharge our responsibilities to the best of perfection which is needed. Sai Ram.